Hi, Pam. Nice to meet you. Hi, Joe. You're muted. You're fine, Joe. Obviously, I'm muted if you want to say hello, but you're fine. I'm so excited to get back on because yesterday was great. And we've had such lovely feedback in the group as well. So that was really, really lovely. I'm really, really pleased. I'm quite excited for today as well. I've got lots to cover again. We should give everyone a few minutes. It's still only about 3 minutes to 12. So I know some people are at work and they're trying to get out to join at 12. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
I can hear you. Is it me or is it you?
Could be me.
I can hear you. Yeah, it was me.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So I'm on the computer rather than the iPad today, so I thought I hadn't changed my settings or something.
Oh, no, no, it was me. Brilliant. Oh, it's nice people are coming on for the lives. I love that. Get a bit of interaction going.
Yeah, it's worked well for this week because I'm at home rather than in the office, so it's easier for me to log in. But
Uh, whatever time of day or evening I choose, there's always people that message, I can't make that time. And
yeah,
you just, I need to do it like 3 times a day to catch everybody.
there's never going to be a perfect time for everyone.
Yeah, it's impossible, but that's the beauty of being able to record it so you can catch up whenever you need to. It doesn't matter.
Do these run till Friday? You doing them till Friday?
Yeah, so today it's every day. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 12. There is a agenda. If I've got it to hand, I'll run you through it quickly while we're waiting. Uh, I know today we're doing creating a daily routine and lunch. Tomorrow we're looking at food choices, and by the end of tomorrow you'll have a really super easy shopping list set up, like a shopping list template, and then we're looking at supper, and then Thursday we're looking at snacking, and meal planning. I've got a 5-minute hack to get you meal planning, so that by the end of the week you've got a shopping list, your go-to breakfast, go-to lunch, go-to dinner, a meal plan. Like, it should all kind of build up to that. And then Friday, just going to be like Q&A. I've got some prizes and we'll just review everything and see how everyone's found it. So lots to cover. Yeah.
Good.
And please do use the chat options there. So please feel free to, say hi or share your thoughts. Or if you've got a question, Joe's here, so she's on the chat as well. She's monitoring it for me. So if it's a techie question, hopefully Joe can help. And Joe is a wellness expert, so if she can answer your question, she will. And if not, she will flag it for me after the live so that I can come back and answer it for you. It just otherwise it's too hard trying to watch everybody and follow the chat as well. Right. So just on 12. So I think we'll start because I know everybody's got a schedule. So hi, everybody. Oh, I'm pleased Addie could make it. Hi, darling. Okay, great. So I just said, as I said, but some of you just joined, it's day 2. So keep commenting, use the chat. Please use the Facebook group as well. Some of you shared your avatars and your boundaries, which was great. Thank you for doing that. I shared mine as well. And I think Joe got inspired with her smoothie and shared that as well. So if you've got any breakfast, it doesn't have to be a smoothie. It can be eggs, it can be overnight oats, it can be something completely random that I haven't thought of. But share it, because it's always good to get different ideas and see what everyone else is doing. We all like to know what everyone else is getting up to. And well done for showing up today. I know it's not easy. I know we've all got busy schedules. Obviously, if you can't join the live and you watch the recording, that's also fine. And share on the Facebook group that you've watched the recording, then I know. Share your workbook entries, share recipes, share thoughts, share questions, anything. Okay, so today we're looking at creating a healthy daily routine, and then we're going to talk about lunch as well. So the reason why I wanted to cover routine today, because part of Eat Better, Feel Better is that my little strap line, if you like, is it's flexible, it's sustainable, and it's easy. And I think that unless something has that flexibility and that sustainability and ease built in, it's so hard to stick to it. This is not a diet, this is a lifestyle. This isn't this is how you eat, and this never changes, and there's good and bad, and good days and bad days, good foods and bad food. It's not like that. This is creating that healthy lifestyle, that healthy approach to your nutrition, to your self-care, to your wellness, to your health, to your longevity, you know, forever. It's not about just like that 3-week, you know, crash diet. So that's why I really want it to be a lifestyle. You know, it's not good and bad. By the end of the, you know, the Eat Better, Build Better process, I'm hoping that you've got like a, you know, you've got your lifestyle, you've got your routine set up, and you know what you're doing, you've got that knowledge, that metabolic flexibility, that emotional flexibility, that planning. It just becomes innate, it becomes natural, and it's so much easier. And it's not just about food, but it's about self-care, it's about getting, you know, good sleep, it's about work-life balance, it's about community, relationships, family, hormones, detox. You know, there's lots to it. It's not just, you know, counting calories and watching, you know, oh God forbid, going fat free. Right, okay. So, you know, and also I think it's important to point out that, you know, I've had a few messages from members and clients the last couple of weeks that they've been on holiday and, you know, they put weight on while they've been away and things like that, and it's stressful. Or, you know, someone messaged they've had sick parents, unfortunately. You know, life gets in the way, and that's fine. But what happens is once you've had the holiday, or you know, you've got over the hurdle that's been thrown at you, or, you know, maybe it's just a weekend, there's a big party going on, or maybe it's a 3-week cruise, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You kind of, some of the habits and knowledge will be built in, and you'll do it even during those difficult or, you know, different times. And some of those habits, as soon as you're back to your, you know, back to normal, you're back to your normal, and the routine just picks up again. And, you know, any extra bloat, extra weight, or, you know, disruption to sleep or whatever, it kind of just comes back down and you know, regulates itself again, because that's your body's normal, that's your body's new happy place, and it's really, really sustainable. So I really wanted to get that across. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about before we talk about routine is keeping a bit of perspective and also a little bit of context. So what do I mean by that? I mean, you know, sometimes people are very sort of focused, hyper focused on one part. To try and keep that broader picture, you know, if you have had that big blowout dinner, we'll put it into context. What did you eat the rest of the day? Or, you know, how did you compensate for that? Did you go for a lovely walk? Have you, you know, been resting? Have you had good sleep? Have you been doing some sort of exercise to movement? To keep everything in its context. And again, even with sort of the food choices, you know, I talked about having a good protein for breakfast and having protein during the day. Someone posted yesterday that they've made a beautiful, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Mel, she's not on here, made a beautiful gazpacho soup for lunch. Oh, you're there, hello. Made a beautiful gazpacho soup for lunch. What could she serve with it? And of course, gazpacho soup doesn't have any protein. Well, it's going to have a little bit of protein in it, but we wouldn't call that a high protein lunch. So in that example, you want to think about the context. If you had a really high protein breakfast, and, you know, your dinner, you're having, you know, chicken and lentils and edamame, you know, like a really high protein dinner. The fact that you've had some beautiful gazpacho for lunch, maybe, you know, with some fruit or some yogurt or something, it doesn't matter, because in the context of your day, you've still got plenty of protein in. So I think it's really important sometimes to zoom out, see the day, see the week, see the month, see the year, and not get too fixated on these individual points in the, you know, in that time, because I think that throws us off balance a little bit, and it, you know, we think, oh, it's all gone wrong now, and then, you know, that kind of self-sabotage cycle perpetuates. So don't think of it like that. Think of it as the whole picture, you know, keep that balance and that perspective. Anybody got any questions or anything came up from yesterday or what I've just said? No? Okay, so I'll talk a little bit then about routine. So with routine, hopefully some of the boundaries that you put in your notes yesterday will help you to create a really good routine today. And in the workbook, there's the page to fill in. It's, I mean, obviously you can elaborate on it, but it's morning, afternoon, and evening. And I've kind of just split it like that, just to let you again have that zoom out perspective of your whole day. And some of us are going to have, you know, very different days, and you might have very different days in the week. You know, you might be working full time Monday to Friday, and Saturday's a completely different routine. Or maybe, you know, you shift work, or maybe your weekends are really busy and your weeks are quieter, or, you know, so everybody's going to be slightly individual, but it's just to kind of give you an idea of, you know, to think about how you're structuring your day and what you're getting into your day. And another thing that I really like to sort of put into clients' routines and members' routine is that little bit of planning, you know, twice a week. If you can spend like 5-6 minutes just looking at your diary for the next few days ahead and just thinking, okay, so Wednesday, I'm out all day, you know, I'm leaving the home at 9, I'm not going to be back till 6. I'm going to have you know, a plan of what I'm going to have for my lunch. I'm going to have to take some healthy snacks with me. I'm going to have to think about what I'm doing, or I'm going to this restaurant for dinner Thursday night. What kind of food do they serve? What am I likely to want to order in that restaurant? Because then you might think, okay, well, it's a pasta restaurant. I know I'm going to be having a massively carby dinner that night. So lunch, I'm going to have, you know, something really protein and lots of veggies, and, you know, keep it lighter so that, you know, dinner, it's not a problem having this big carby dinner. So it sounds big, but it's not. It takes like a few minutes just looking and thinking ahead, because that's how you don't get caught out, and that's how you feel a bit more in control. So you're not coming home from work at, you know, 7-8 o'clock frazzled and hungry, and opening the fridge and thinking, oh, there's nothing to eat, what am I going to do, and getting a takeaway. You knew 2 days ago that was likely to be a late night, and so you've work that into the process. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a few minutes twice a week. So I normally say a Sunday and a Wednesday. If you can do that, it just gives you that little bit of control, and that little bit of feeling like you know what you're doing. And of course, that links back to what I said earlier about that flexibility, and, you know, life gets in the way. So if it doesn't go to plan, it doesn't matter, but at least you've given yourself as much chance as you can to, you know, to keep on track, because that's going to make you feel so much better longer term. The other thing that really helps with routine, I find, is having like a regular shopping list. And like I touched on, we're going to be doing that tomorrow, because tomorrow we're looking at specific foods in different groups and stuff. And that is how, if you take those lists, you've almost kind of got your weekly shopping list going, and you know, you can then play around with it and shop and change it, but you've got that sort of template of all the different foods that you want to be eating in the week. So that will help also with sticking to the routine a little bit. Meal planning with routine as well, we're going to talk about that on Thursday. So what would you want to put into your routine? I think, you know, obviously I focus a lot on food and nutrition, but as you know, it's holistic. So I want you to think about your self-care time, what times you're going to bed, what times you're getting up in the morning, what are you doing in that first hour of your day? You know, are you getting up and go, and it's like full speed ahead, and like no time to sort of wake up and think and get your brain into gear for the day, and the cortisol just spiking like mad? Are you somebody, you know, that's not giving yourself time in the evenings to have that sort of, let the cortisol come back down, let the melatonin come up, so that you can have your restful sleep? You know, if you're rushing around till 12 o'clock at night, not looking at anyone in particular, Raquel, but if you're, you know, up till midnight rushing around, and then, you know, one minute past midnight you get into bed, you're not going to, I wouldn't have thought, fall asleep well and sleep restfully and feel good in the morning, because it, you know, your brain just hadn't had that time to come back down and the melatonin to come up. So it's really important that we allow this time. So I think factoring that into your routine is also really important. Factoring some movement in, you know, and it doesn't have to be a 2-hour gym session. It can be a 20-minute walk around the block, you know, but trying to factor that in where you know you're going to get that little bit of time in, again, it really helps. And I also want to say that we all have, I think, we can all find an hour in the day. And I know that sounds a lot, because I know we're all really busy, and an hour sounds like a really long time. But if you think about the time that we waste, you know, how many of us sit and scroll through our phones? I know I'm a bit guilty of that sometimes. You know, the phone scrolling, the channel hopping, the watching, you know, a mindless program on TV while you're scrolling, you know, all these different things. I think, you know, procrastinating, I think we can all find those little pockets of time in the day that really, they add up, and they really do help. And we spend so much time, you know, on this fight and flight mode, you know, with stress, with cortisol, and that knocking out kilter all our hormones, our blood sugar balance, our female hormone, our thyroid hormones, our metabolism, everything. It's really important that we find those pockets of time to breathe, to feel organized, to feel on top of it, because that, again, in the whole scheme of like feeling better, that's what we need to be doing. So I think do try and find those times where you can, even if it, you know, you're sitting, you know, in the school run, and you get to the car park and you've got 10 minutes, instead of maybe watching, you know, a video on your phone, maybe use that time to do a little meal plan or something. It's just using that time more efficiently. So when you're doing your routine as well, what I recommend works for most members and clients is that we eat 4 times a day. So it's breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then one snack during the day. Personally, I find it works better to have that snack, which I call a mini meal, in the middle of the afternoon. If you've had, your 12 to 14 hour intermittent fast overnight, you've had your breakfast around 9-10 in the morning, and you've followed like the guidance of having plenty of protein and some fiber in there and things like that, you should, if your sugar is balanced, you should be able to go until lunchtime fairly comfortably. But then normally for most of us, lunch is about 1 o'clock, 12:30, and dinner's normally not till 6:37. So I think that is when I would put in that mini meal, that snack around 3:30, 4 o'clock, before you get that starving peckish stage at 5 o'clock where you're reaching for everything while you're cooking. Have that mini meal scheduled into your routine, have that plan there, and have that idea of what you're going to have. And we'll talk about snacking on Thursday, so you'll have a small list of ideas of go-to snacks that you can have. But again, like having that sort of awareness of what you're going to put where, it just helps you to, again, feel in control, know what you're doing, feel organized, so that those healthy choices are just natural and easy. So I would say, in the morning, are you giving yourself enough time to wake up, for your hormones to balance, for the sunlight to hit your face? I know we're coming into winter now, and unfortunately, and the weather's not going to be great, but open the curtains when you wake up, open the window, let the fresh air in, rehydrate, make sure you're getting plenty of water, maybe factor in your water times into your routine if you're not good at doing that. Factor in when you're going to have your breakfast. Obviously, there's a bit of flexibility, but having that basic structure in your head is going to help you to stay on track and to kind of know what you're doing and to feel more organized. So factor in, your morning routine, factor in that self-care bedtime routine. I have got a bedtime handout guidance sheet. If anyone wants it, just say in the chat you want it, I'll send it to you. It's part of the sign up bundle for the membership, but I'm happy to share it, because it's really important that we get that time in, to do that self-care before we go to bed, because sleep is so restorative and it's so important, and we undervalue it. So it's not with the routine, it's not just food, trying to bring all those things in as well. But with food, like I say, you want to be thinking about your 3 meals and your 1 snack mini meal a day, and try and sort of get that routine going. So I think this sheet is just a really good way just to get started and get a rough idea of what you're having when, what you're doing when. And you may find that you need 2 of these, 1 for the week and 1 for the weekend, so just, and it, again, don't get too like fixated on it and think, oh, it's gone wrong and that's no good, but it just to give you that overview, that perspective, that context again, so that you kind of know what you're doing. Does anyone have any questions on routine, or anyone got I don't know, like a tricky thing they have, like night shifts or something like that? I had a client with night shift once. It was quite tricky trying to work out what times they should be eating to balance their blood sugar efficiently. So it can be tricky. Anyone got any questions? No? Okay, brilliant. Okay, so that is really what I wanted to say about routine. So think about your food, your movement, your self-care, when you're going to get some planning in, things like that. Try and work out, try and be aware, maybe staying tomorrow when you're wasting time, because it's amazing how much time we actually waste. So, have a think about that as well. It's when you get really aware of it, you really notice it, that how much more efficient we can really be. Okay, so with lunch. So with lunch, we're going to talk a little bit tomorrow about building the plate before we talk about the different food choices. So I don't want to repeat myself too much tomorrow. But with lunch, again, I do really want to emphasize protein. We just need protein so much, and it doesn't have to be chicken all the time. There's all different sorts of protein. Have a think about the plant-based protein and the meat and the fish and things like that. Try and get all different sources of protein into your diet. But you definitely want to make sure you're getting some nice quality protein really in your lunch, ideally, unless you're getting it at other points in the day. But out of the 4 times that you're eating in the day, 3 of them should contain some sort of protein. So if you're not having much protein in your lunch, make sure that mini meal, that breakfast on either side of it has got protein in. So do try and put your protein in your lunch. Think about how you can layer up your protein. So what I mean by that is, you know, if you're having, say, a chicken wrap, okay, maybe you could use a high protein wrap instead of a normal wrap, a little bit more protein in that. Maybe you can put some hummus in the wrap that's got some protein in it. Maybe you can add some edamame into the wrap, or some chickpeas into it. That's going to have some protein. So by sort of upgrading, even, you know, you could put some feta in there or something like that, or, you know, some egg. Just try to sort of layer up the protein so it's not just, here's my protein, here's my vet. You know, try and think about what you're putting on to get those extra little bits of protein in, because that really does help to keep you going for longer. It helps you to feel fuller. And obviously at lunchtime, we want to have energy for the rest of the day. We want to get through our afternoon. We want to be able to go home and not be starving hungry when we're making dinner. And we want to be able to also get that intermittent fasting in the evening. So if you're struggling after dinner to not eat, have a think about what you haven't eaten the rest of the day, or what maybe you have eaten. Maybe you've had too much sugar in the day, or not enough protein in the day, or not enough fiber, because it's not just about your dinner. You have to think of the context of the whole day. So make sure that you're layering up that protein in your lunch, because that is going to really help you. And again, tomorrow, when we go through the different food groups, we're going to make a list of the animal and plant-based proteins that you like for your own list, and that will be your shopping list. So when you open the fridge and you want to layer up your lunch, you've got those options there. So I hope that makes sense. To think about your protein, make sure you're getting a nice amount of vegetables in your lunch. Again, you know, often I speak to clients and they say they had a cheese sandwich for lunch, and then really that's probably got like a bit of lettuce and tomato in it, and then they're not really having proper vegetables until dinner. Not enough. We need to be getting a lot more fiber than that. It's really important for our gut health, for our well-being, to keep us feeling fuller, for everything, detox, everything, and all the nutrients as well. So, you know, I really would like half of the lunch should actually be made up of vegetables. So you've got like a proper portion. It can be salad, it can be cooked stuff, it can be leftovers, it can be soup, it can be a stew, it can be anything, it can be tinned, frozen, fresh, it doesn't matter. But just make sure you're getting some plants on that plate as well. It's really, really important. So really, by the time you finished your lunch, you should have had half your nutritional needs for the day, because you've only got your mini meal and your dinner left. So if you're eating quite, you know, nutrient light processed foods that's not got a lot of nutrients in it, you're really relying on that second half of your day to get everything in. And that, for most of us, that's not going to happen. So make sure you are focusing on nutrient. And the recipes that I've shared for lunch, some of them are in the recipe collection, some of them are literally like, if you've done the shopping list and you're, you know, everything's there, it should take you 5-10 minutes to throw it together. Some of them are really good to put in a jar or a Tupperware to take, you know, to work with you on the go. Leftovers are great. Don't underestimate leftovers. You know, make extra at dinner and have that the next day for your lunch. It's just the easiest way to do it. It's just, you know, really quick. But definitely what I would say is one tip is, when you get the food out the oven for dinner, make that portion for your lunch there. Tupperware it and put it away, because if you're like me, I'll just keep going back for more. So make sure you do give yourself that portion for lunch and put it away. It's also good for the other halves when they're useless and they don't know what to have for lunch. You know, giving them a box of leftovers is always good. Use the freezer. You know, I love to do a little bulk cook. You know, if you're making, I don't know, a bolognese or a roast chicken, do 2 roast chickens and cut one up and put it in the freezer in portions. It just makes life so much easier when we are in that rush and we haven't got time to be organized. And coming into autumn and winter, soups are great as well. Vegetable soups, chicken soup, any kind of soup is always great to have in the freezer as well. It just bulks things up. Even if you don't want it for lunch, sometimes, I'll have a soup mid-afternoon as my sort of snacky mini meal. So, a soup is always a good one to do. A lot of people ask me about carbs. So carbs at lunch, should they have their carbs at lunch? Should they have their carbs at dinner? So the first thing I want to say is, when we talk about carbohydrates from a nutrition perspective, we're talking about a massive, massive group of food, because as you know, carbs are bread, pasta, rice, potatoes. It's also broccoli, carrots, apples, pears, and it's also cake, biscuits, sweets, that kind of thing. So it's such a massive, broad spectrum. Of course, the cake, biscuit, sweets, all the processed stuff, that should be kept like a minimum. That's like a treat once in a while, whatever. With the carbs, I never ever restrict vegetables. You know, have as many vegetables as you want, add them to meals. You know, if you've got one of my meal plans and you want to add more vegetables to the dish, go for it. Vegetables are unlimited. They're so good for you. And it doesn't matter what vegetables they are, just add them onto your plate and enjoy them. With regards to things that I would call like the more like the floury based, the starchy carbs, so your pasta, your rice, your beans, but they're also very healthy, but breads and things like that, I would say, you know, be aware of how much carbs you're having. You know, for some reason in this country particularly, we'll have toast for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and then, you know, pasta for dinner, and not realize how much, you know, empty calories and inflammatory food that we're eating, and, you know, very void of nutrients food we're eating. So I would say, you know, don't avoid carbs. It's a massive food group, and I don't like anyone to feel like they've got to cut things out. You know, if you want, you know, some sourdough, you want some brown pasta, you want some rice, whatever it is, have it and enjoy it. But just, you know, if have it maybe sort of with your lunch or with your dinner, but maybe don't have it with both. It's not normally necessary to have it with both. I personally prefer to save my carbs and have them for dinner, because I like to have that sort of full feeling, you know, to take me through the night. I enjoy having, you know, carbs with my dinner, so I might avoid them at lunchtime a little bit. But, you know, there's so many other ways that you can bulk out your plate with the protein and the veg and the fats. You know, don't be afraid of fats. So I think that's really worth pointing out as well with the carbs. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say. There was something, but it's gone out of my head. But I think that's pretty much, I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about for lunch. So hopefully some of those recipes will be really helpful. Do you guys have like your go-tos for lunch? Is there something that you'll have like 3 or 4 days a week for lunch because it's just quick and easy and you like it? Because I know for me, I often just make myself eggs and salad for lunch, because it's just like I don't have to think about it. I can just chuck it all on the plate and it's done. And sometimes I'll open like a tin of chickpeas or something and have some of those with it if I'm hungry. But, you know, it's nice just to have those quick go-tos that you don't have to think about. And often on Instagram, I do share like a 5-minute lunch. So you can have a look on there, and sometimes there's ideas. In the membership, there's a recipe library with lots of easy lunch ideas as well. But there's loads in your recipe book from the reset. I've put about, I think, 6 lunches on there, different ideas. And of course, you can play around with those recipes with whatever you want. So I think that was everything I want to say about lunch and routine. So have a go at making your routine. Again, feel free to share it on the chat, or if you've got your go-to lunch, or if you tried one of the recipes in the recipe book, you know, do snap a picture of it and share it on the chat. I've got a couple I'm going to share later today. But the recipes are really lovely, and all those recipes are low glycemic, which means they don't spike your blood sugar. They're going to keep you feeling nice and full for ages and keep you energized. And they're just like so easy. Most of them are like 3 or 4 steps, and the ingredients are all really easy as well. So have a go at some of those recipes. And tomorrow we're going to look at building the plate, so how to put your plate together, and how to create those lists of all the foods that will ultimately then be your shopping list, which will then help you with making your meal plan on Thursday. So hopefully by the end of it, you've got some really lovely, quick and easy ideas and go-to resources to really sort of start that healthy journey, and to really feel like you can make a real impact, but without it feeling overwhelming, without it being overcomplicated. So I hope that helped. I feel like I should talk like 100 miles an hour, sorry. But I hope that was helpful, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all your thoughts and ideas, and share some photos of whatever you want to share on the group chat. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Any feedback on anything that I've talked about today, I'd love to have as well. And I'll be back on here tomorrow at 12 o'clock. So go and enjoy your lunch. Have a look now at the lunch that you've made yourself, that you're planning to have, and see how many of those, you know, things that I've said you can kind of tick off, or have a think about where, you know, look down at your plate and think, where could you kind of just tweak it that little bit, upgrade something that little bit, just to take it that little bit further into like the, you know, the healthier direction. You know, maybe you could have added an extra few tablespoons of vegetables, or maybe you should have had a slightly bigger portion of protein, or maybe you didn't need that second slice of toast with it. I don't, you know, whatever you've got, have a look at your lunch and have a think about how you could have like upgrade it a little bit. All right. Okay. I will look at the chat. I will catch up with it. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Okay. So I'll see you all tomorrow at 12 o'clock. All right. Thanks. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.